What happens when a cool-headed fighter becomes the obsession of a loudmouthed powerhouse who thinks intimidation rules the ring, only to find out Leon isn't the one who folds, he's the one you should fear? Before we dive into the story, please tell us where you are watching from for a shout-out, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe so you don't miss out on our uploads. He didn't hear the roar of the crowd. He didn't feel the cold air. He didn't even notice the flashes from fans' phones as he walked into the arena. All Leon Steelheart Carter heard was the same sentence playing over and over in his mind, the sentence that Damien Cray spit at him 2 weeks ago after their backstage scuffle. When the lights go out, you'll finally realize your prey. That line didn't intimidate Leon. It irritated him. And in IronForge Wrestling, irritation was fuel. Fuel that burned slow, then exploded. Tonight, the fuse was lit. 3 hours before showtime, the IronForge arena was already shaking with life, metal beams humming, speakers testing with bass-heavy rumbles, ring crew tightening ropes with the speed of men who knew every second mattered. But Leon moved through it calm and cold, like a predator walking through wind. He came early not to stretch, not to warm up, no, he came early because every time Damien Cray was on the card, the air around the arena changed. It got thicker, meaner, hungrier. And Leon wanted to breathe in all of it before the storm hit. The locker room door swung open with a metallic groan. Inside, the place was quiet, too quiet. No banter. No jokes. Just that heavy silence that only shows up when two alphas are in the same space. Leon knew before he even looked up that he wasn't alone. Damien Cray sat on the opposite bench, elbows resting on his knees, head tilted like he'd been waiting for Leon specifically. His arms, inked with black serrated tattoos, were massive, thick enough to make even veteran fighters think twice. A toothpick dangled from the corner of his mouth as he cracked his neck, slow and deliberate. The kind of crack meant to get attention. Meant to show dominance. Leon didn't give him the satisfaction of turning his head. He dropped his duffel bag, pulled out his wrist tape, and started rapping, layer by precise layer. Damien's smirk twitched. He hated being ignored. "You walking into my locker room this early?" Damien said, voice low, deep, carrying the tone of a man who lived off conflict. "That's cute. You nervous? Or you trying to convince yourself not to back out?" Leon kept rapping. "I came here for peace," he muttered. Damien leaned forward. "Then you came to the wrong sport." Leon finally lifted his head. His stare wasn't loud. It wasn't wild. It was controlled, exactly the kind of stare that makes dangerous men uneasy because it promises action without warning. "Peace for you," Leon said. "Silence for me." Damien chuckled. "You talk real brave when all the lights are on." A heartbeat of silence. Then Leon said it, calm, cold. "The lights don't keep me safe, Damien. They keep you from running." The smirk vanished. Before Damien could respond, someone walked past the doorway, a soft shadow, light footsteps, a scent of mint sanitizer and warm vanilla lotion. Elena Rivera. The new ringside medic. Professional, focused, hair pulled into a high ponytail, clipboard always in hand. She was small in frame but sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who could tell if a rib was cracked just by looking at how a fighter breathed. She slowed as she passed, sensing that charged energy between them. She knew Leon. Knew Damien. She also knew the look two wolves exchanged before a kill. Damien shifted, noticing her. "Look at that," he murmured. "Your little medic's here. Maybe she'll patch you up after I fold you." Leon didn't rise to it. But something in his jaw tightened. Elena shot Damien a look that could frost over steel. Then she glanced at Leon just long enough to show she'd seen the tension, felt the danger, and was silently asking him not to let Damien's provocation get into his head. Leon's voice stayed level. "Worry about yourself, Cray." Damien stood, towering over him, shadow covering Leon like a storm cloud. "Oh, I am. I'm worried I'll break something I'm not supposed to." He stepped close, too close, but before he could say more, a voice echoed down the hall. "Cray. Carter. Production meeting in 5. Damien didn't move right away. He stared at Leon, eyes narrow, daring him to flinch. Leon didn't. Damien finally smiled, dark, sharp. "When those lights cut out," he whispered, You'll remember tonight as the last night you pretended you weren't afraid of me." He walked out. Slow. Like a promise. Leon exhaled once. Then finished rapping. Later that night, the backstage hallway buzzed with wrestlers, stagehands, security, and medics. Cameras rolled by. Pyro tests shook the floor. Announcers rehearsed their lines. The world was chaos. Leon thrived in it. Elena stood by the medical station, checking supplies, writing notes. She wasn't looking at him, but she knew he was approaching. She always did. "You ready for this?" she asked without looking up. Leon leaned against the counter. "You worried?" "Professionally." She paused. Then, softer, and a little personally. Leon didn't smile, but something in his eyes warmed before he locked it away. "I'll be fine." "You're facing a man who doesn't want to beat you," Elena said. "He wants to hurt you." "I know," Leon replied. "That doesn't bother you?" Leon tightened the strap on his glove. "What bothers me is that he thinks darkness gives him an advantage." Elena gave him a confused look. Leon tapped his chest twice. "I see better in the dark than he thinks." Before she could answer, the arena lights dimmed, the opening pyro detonated, and the crowd roared like a tidal wave crashing against steel. Elena placed a hand lightly on his arm, a small gesture, but it grounded him more than she'd ever know. "Just, don't let him push you somewhere you don't come back from." Leon didn't promise anything. He just nodded once and walked toward the curtain. The screen above the entrance flashed fiery graphics of steel breaking apart. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena, "The Steel Heart. Leon Carter." The crowd erupted. Leon stood behind the curtain, breathing slow, controlled. He didn't care about the ovation. He cared about the man waiting in the ring. A predator who thought intimidation was a weapon. A fool who believed darkness made him stronger. Leon stepped forward and walked straight into the beginning of the war. The bell rang, sharp and commanding, echoing off steel beams. Leon adjusted his gloves one last time, eyes narrowing at the shadowed corner of the ring where Damian Cray loomed like a statue carved from menace. The audience's roar faded into background noise, irrelevant compared to the heat pulsing between the ropes, the smell of sweat and anticipation thick enough to taste. Every fiber in Leon's body screamed that this wasn't just another match, it was survival. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more wrestling stories. Damian stretched casually, rolling his shoulders with exaggerated ease, like he owned every inch of the squared circle. His tattooed arms gleamed under the arena lights, and the scar over his eyebrow made him look dangerous even when he smiled. "You think that glare will save you in the dark?" he shouted, loud enough for cameras to catch but low enough for a chill to curl down Leon's spine. "Tonight, you're my lesson." Leon stepped forward, bare feet finding traction on the canvas, breathing slow and even. "You teach lessons," he said, voice calm, "I give answers." The crowd sensed the tension, cheers wavered into shouts, the energy of thousands of bodies feeding the air like oxygen to a wildfire. But Leon didn't notice them. He noticed Damian, and the calculated way he moved, always waiting for a weakness. Then, it happened, the lights flickered once, twice, then went out entirely. The arena dissolved into darkness, leaving only the echo of the crowd's confused gasps and Damian's low chuckle. Leon's muscles coiled. Darkness wasn't a handicap. It was a battlefield. His senses stretched, listening to every footstep, every rustle of cloth, every shallow breath. Elena's words from earlier in the hallway came back sharp and clear, "He wants to hurt you. Don't let him push you somewhere you don't come back from." "Where are you, Cray?" Leon muttered, letting his voice carry confidence. Not arrogance. Confidence. Damian's reply was a whisper from the shadows, "Closer than you think." The first strike came, fast, brutal, aimed at Leon's side. He pivoted instinctively, catching Damian's wrist mid-swing, spinning him into the ropes. Leon's mind worked in fractions of seconds, predicting, countering, always one step ahead. He could feel Damian's frustration growing, taste it like iron on his tongue. From ringside, a spotlight flickered back to life, revealing Elena perched on the edge of the apron, eyes sharp, heart pounding. Her breath hitched slightly as Damian lunged toward Leon with the force of a charging bull. But Leon wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for every moment Elena had trusted him to survive. He ducked under a swing, rolled across the mat, and landed a precise kick to Damien's knee. A grunt of pain echoed in the darkness. Damien didn't falter for long. He bounced back, fury in his blue eyes, and launched a spinning elbow. Leon blocked, the impact reverberating through his forearm, sending a jolt up his spine. Every move they made was a conversation, a violent dialogue of skill, strategy, and raw adrenaline. Damien was powerful, yes, but Leon's calm, deliberate aggression allowed him to exploit gaps, weaknesses, and overconfidence. Then came the moment Elena had feared. Damien charged from behind, intending a brutal clothesline. Leon heard the thud of her sneakers hitting the apron and instinctively leaned into her, pulling her down as he spun, letting Damien sail past. Elena's eyes met his, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. A spark of something warmer than adrenaline flared in her gaze, a small flame amidst the chaos. "Careful," she whispered, voice soft but urgent. Leon smirked under his mask of focus. "Always am." The darkness returned for a heartbeat as the lights flickered once more. When they snapped back, Damien was crouched, breathing heavily, calculating, his grin dangerous but wary. Leon's chest heaved, muscles burning, sweat stinging his eyes. Every second stretched, taut as a bowstring. Damien lunged again, this time faster, harder, hoping to land a decisive blow. Leon anticipated, caught Damien's arm, twisted, and executed a perfectly timed German suplex. The mat shook under Damien's weight, the crowd erupting in chaotic cheer. Damien rolled to his feet, eyes narrowing, realizing Leon wasn't just surviving, he was dominating. Leon didn't pause. He vaulted off the ropes, spinning into a mid-air kick that connected solidly with Damien's chest, knocking him backward. Damien stumbled, but his hands were quick, grabbing Leon's shoulders mid-spin, trying to flip the advantage. Leon countered, twisting and dropping to the mat with Damien landing hard beside him. Pain shot through both of them, but Leon's focus was sharper, brighter. From ringside, Elena's voice called out, "Leon, now." A subtle reminder, a lifeline, a tether to humanity amidst chaos. Leon seized the opportunity, springing upward, harnessing momentum and sheer precision. He executed the move he'd been building toward all night, the Steelheart finish. He slammed Damien into the mat, chest first. The referee hit the canvas. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang. Silence, then the arena exploded into noise. Leon didn't celebrate. He didn't pump his fists or roar to the crowd. He barely registered the ovation. His eyes found Elena first, her relief and pride visible even from a distance. She stepped forward, brushing sweat from his forehead, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "You did it," she said, voice soft but steady. "I couldn't have without you," Leon admitted, letting the first real hint of a smile escape. Her eyes flickered, warm, and for a heartbeat, the world contracted to just them. No arena, no crowd, no opponent, just recognition, understanding, and something quietly unspoken that burned between them. Damien lay on the mat, defeated, breathing hard, frustration evident but respect beginning to flicker in his gaze. He had underestimated Leon's resilience, his intellect, his focus. And he had absolutely underestimated the quiet force standing ringside, Elena, who had subtly shifted the tide with her presence alone. Backstage, the adrenaline lingered like a buzzing wire in Leon's veins. Elena helped him to a bench, pressing ice to his shoulder, examining bruises, her fingers gentle but firm. "You're going to feel this tomorrow," she said, a slight smirk tugging at her lips. "I'll survive," he replied. "I always do." Her eyes held his for a second longer than necessary, a spark of teasing warmth flashing before she returned to her professional composure. "Good. Because the lights are always coming back on." Leon chuckled softly, a low sound, not for anyone else but for her. She smiled faintly in return. Sparks. Tension. A connection built in the shadows and chaos. He had survived Damien. But he also realized something else. There were battles outside the ring that required even more courage. And for the first time tonight, Leon wasn't just ready to fight, he was ready to feel. Thank you for watching. Do you think Leon's victory was well deserved? Tell us in the comments section.